Hey, Josh, how are you?
Good, man. Sorry I was running a little late.
Oh, it's not a problem, man. It's kind of funny because I feel like I always watch your videos talking to people, but now you're talking to me. It's like, is that real?
I'm just a robot. This is not a live conversation. Where are you calling in from today?
I'm calling from DocuSign's office in downtown Seattle.
Dude, nice dig. Dude, great city, right? Seattle?
I'm from here, man. So I agree. I love it here. I've been here all my life and happy to be here.
Never wanted to leave.
Me? No, it's not true. I'm very multicultural, and I have a lot of family in the U.S. So I travel a lot to Cali, North Carolina. I get my fix, for the sun in the winter, so I don't feel bad. It's worth it for the summertime here.
Totally get it. I totally get it. And DocuSign, man, great company.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Sounds like you're familiar with
How
it.
did you end up there and what were you doing before?
Yeah, yeah. So before this, I was actually managing my family's barbershop in downtown Bellevue. Yeah, my dad opened a business in the late 80s. And I took over the business right after during college. Did that for 6 years, was a master barber. And then I had one of my clients refer me here in sales.
Wait a second. Sure. You are a barber yourself.
I am a barber myself. Yes, for 6 years, I was a professional barber full time, and now I do it part time.
So you were working with your dad's shop. You
Yep.
were helping him run the business and you were a barber. And
hmm
how did you get from that to software sales? Because that's an unusual career path.
Right, 100%. So the situation was I went to Foster Business School at UW. I knew I wanted to be in the tech sector because I was passionate about technology. I was always into gadgets and phones, and I actually used to sell phones as a hobby when I was in high school. Couldn't get a job, so I'd buy and sell phones to make money off of that. And I got a lot of experience with like clients and customers face to face. So one of my clients who came to the shop, cut his hair for a few years, was an SDR in the sales org here. And he came to me one day. He was like, "Hey man, I'm at this company. It's pre-IPO, going public in a couple of years. I think you'd be a great fit based on your personality. You want to give it a shot." I told him no. I was like, "No man, I'm good where I am."
Why did you say that? Because you mentioned that you were interested in the tech sector, and yet when
Right.
given an opportunity to go in the tech sector, you said no. So I'm curious.
Yeah. So I always had a bad impression of sales. I watch all your videos and I think it's great, but I just thought it was like used car salesman. I think I always thought it was you trying to give people something they didn't need, right? And I didn't like that idea. In
Is
fact,
that because you had some experiences with that in the past, or just like from the movies, or just like your stereotype? Like that's how I associate the word sales with this slimy thing, just because it's just like cultural.
yeah, I would say stereotype for
Okay.
sure.
Okay.
I had recommendations from my clients at the barbershop. A lot of them were CEOs of famous companies. A lot of them told me, "Hey, you should look into sales. I think you do great at it." And I was like, "Yeah, I appreciate that," but I just didn't take it for seriously at that time. So, and here I am today. I got into it.
But what
Um,
changed though? What changed because you were not open to it and then you did it? So what changed?
I think my driver, my gap, I guess you could say, was I wanted to try something different. I had been
Hmm.
here for 6 years, it was decent money, but I wanted something different because as a barber, your career path is pretty limited. You have clients, you have a clientele, and you keep cutting their hair, and it comes back. When I'm 50, it'd be the same thing. And I wanted something new and challenging in my life, and I was not being challenged.
I got it.
So,
And so
yep.
so how long you been at DocuSign?
Yeah, so I've been at DocuSign just about 2 years now.
Okay.
Yep, just about 2 years.
And how can I help you?
Awesome. So on my end here, I'm at a unique situation where I've been learning a lot from your content. Really appreciate you getting on this video to talk to me. I've been an SDR here at DocuSign, and my current position is a market development rep, which basically means I'm not really qualifying inside leads. I'm actually reaching out, doing outside, like using outreach, right? Which you're very familiar with, obviously, to attract interest and drive opportunity. I'm at a unique situation where, one, I'm all about learning. So I read a lot of books. I'm always wanting to better my craft and increase my knowledge of how to do better in sales, which is what I want to be in long term now. The interesting thing is I'm interviewing for an account executive position at DocuSign in just 2 weeks. And I've built a lot of connections. I think I'm going to get the first shot. I'm excited. I do still want to improve my prospecting, cold calling skills because I do know that as an AE, I don't want to rely on just leads coming to me. I want to be able to work my book. I'm a hunter, and so I do feel like there's a lot I can learn. I'm not done. I'll never be done, quite frankly. But I'm feeling like as an AE, becoming an AE, if I can start training now, if there's a program that you offer, things that I can start now doing that can help me hit the ground running, that would be ideal for me.
What areas within prospecting do you feel you need the most help with? Because there's a lot of like sub areas in there.
Yeah.
Are there some that kind of bump out at you like, man, I wish I was better at, or I'd love to improve this, or is it everything, or are there specific things that you think you wish you were better at? Or
yeah, so if I was reflecting on what I've had success with, really the guy I worked with, the AE who's mentoring me, he really trained me to get on the phone a lot more, not to hide behind emails. So I've been leveraging emails to get on the phone and get a conversation, and then whatever response I get, give them a call and have a conversation. From that, we had a lot of success. For me right now, since I'm still doing MDR work as of now, I'm not done specifically, still have maybe a month and a half left. I've had a lot of struggles with accounts that have kind of been burned by people before me. Just constant sequences, constant emails, notes on the account. Please don't reach out to me. I already told you I'm not interested. I've been having difficulty there because if it's someone who's never heard of you, I can typically get them on the phone and drive some interest. But someone who's had a bad, experience with getting 100 emails a month, that's been tough for me getting them on the hook again. Even though I know I can, if I had them fresh off, I can probably get them committed and at least interested in evaluation.
you're making a very good point, and I talk about this all the time, the importance of making a good first impression, because first impressions are long lasting. You're seeing this, whether they're positive or negative. And when you make a negative first impression, meaning people are not responding to your sequences and you silently don't know that you're upsetting them, as you can see in the notes in your CRM, that it's very difficult to recover from that. You've seen this in your personal life, right? You've met someone and maybe they were a hot mess the first day you met them. And that colors your perception of who they are going forward. It's very hard to change your first impression of someone. The good news is that when you make a good first impression and you make people feel good about your cold outreach, even if they say no, they like the approach so much that they are open to hearing you out and potentially being interested one day. Because oftentimes from an outbound perspective, people aren't ready to switch when you reach out to them. I do this thing in my workshops that I learned from the great Chet Holmes. I say, raise your hand if you're in the market to buy a laptop computer today. And out of 200 people, 3 or 4 hands will go up. And then I ask the follow-up question, which is raise your hand if you're going to buy a laptop computer one day. And every hand goes up. And that's outbound. So we have to realize that when we're reaching out to people, although they may be open to chatting with us, oftentimes they're not ready to switch right away when we talk to them. And so we make these bad first impressions. What we're really doing, and you're seeing this, is when they are ready, and ultimately people do make decisions when the struggle is high enough. Like
Correct.
My laptop now takes 3 minutes to boot up. It's a problem. I'll sit through a laptop demo, but I'm not buying a new laptop because they're $3,000 and I'll just wait the 3 minutes. But fast forward the clock 2 months and all of a sudden my hard drive's making a weird sound and I got a keynote presentation. I'm buying a new computer. And so if we burn that bridge before with, as you put it, these sequences and these cold outreaches that are not making people feel good, then we are going to hurt our chances of reactivating those conversations. It's not like we can never recover from it, but it's hard. I mean, you see this in your personal life. Someone makes a bad first impression on you, you're kind of done with them, probably for a while. So it is tough. Now, one of the approaches that I've used in situations like that, where I've been given an account that has been burned before, maybe you're in this situation, is I've used a little bit of a different approach. And I'll tell it to you. Maybe it's going to help you a little bit in these situations because, hey, Josh, that's great, but what do I do, dude? I got these accounts and they've been burned before. I get what you're saying. But so let me give you an idea. The idea when you call people that have been burned before is to go in with humility. So I'll tell you what that sounds like. We'll just role play it. Pick up the phone and say, hi, I'm Mohammed.
Hi, this is Mohammed calling from DocuSign.
Mohammed, my name is Josh. I am, no, you're not, I'm going to be with DocuSign.
On the prospect, my bad.
Yeah, you be the
Correct.
prospect. All right, sorry. I
Hey,
should have made it more
Mohammed.
clear. So you're Mohammed with whatever.
Hey, this is Mohammed from Seattle's mortgage company.
Hey, Mohammed, you have absolutely no idea who I am. My name is Josh with DocuSign, and I am just calling to apologize. Do you have a couple minutes to chat?
Yeah, apologize for what?
And end of role play. So what I want you to do is just pay attention to the initial ask, which is I want to apologize. And what I'm going to apologize for is the barrage of emails that we've sent to them, or the fact that maybe we had a conversation and we didn't close them, that somehow along the way we have miscommunicated or dropped the ball. And we want to apologize, not to move anything forward, but just to get some feedback on what their situation is so that we can do better at some point in the future. So we're calling to apologize that they have been so upset that they've emailed us or said something that they don't want to ever talk to us again. It was 3 months ago or 4 months ago. I've just taken over the account, and I'm calling to apologize on behalf of our company, and just wanted to see if you'd be open to providing some feedback about your situation so that maybe we could potentially help you in the future. What are you folks currently doing in terms of X, Y, and Z? When we kind of get into the conversation. But the idea here, and this works really well for opportunities that have gone dark. Right. Hey, just calling, it's been 2 months. Looks like we were talking about how we could potentially help you folks in this area. And it looks like we may have dropped the ball because we didn't hear from you. And I'm just calling to apologize on behalf of the company, not to move things forward, but to just get some feedback so that maybe we can do better next time around. Would you be open to sharing with us, what happened? And from your perspective, would you open to be sharing, what kind of turned you off? They might not even remember. God, I don't even remember. It was so long ago. No problem. Hey, the reason I'm calling is that we are, and then we can kind of go into the pitch. But the idea there is if you've upset someone and you're afraid of reaching out, do not reach out with the same cold call pitch, same sequences. Reach out with a phone call in this idea where you're going to apologize with humility and see if you can't have an opening where they'll start to share with you. And they may remember, they may not remember. Mm-hmm. How's that sit with you?
I mean, it sounds interesting because it sounds like the goal here is just to have them talking to you on like a I'm not scared of you trying to sell me something today. That's the goal, right? I'm getting from this. Just to have a conversation, have them open up to you, knowing that once they talk to you, you're not going to try and close them the next day.
Right, and then we can make an offer. Hey, I don't know if this would be of interest to you, Mohammed, but we have some educational sessions coming up that we're actually doing online. Educational sessions for marketing directors to show them specifically a few tactics that might not be on their radar that companies like A and B are using to achieve X. Based on your role over there, I thought you'd be interested too.
I haven't heard that line.
And let me walk you through the thinking there. It's an educational session. It's not a pitch. So like a webinar, and this I kind of learned from Chet Holmes again, the author of Ultimate Selling Machine, because most people aren't looking and buying right now, we want to offer them some type of education to make them smarter about something. So think you creating a 4 or 5 slide keynote and educating them on trends or 5 things that they might not know about X, much like they would if they were reading an article or something. And then you could transition to that if it makes sense into how you help in these areas. But you're making people aware of a problem, what's potentially possible, what there are trends that their peers are seeing that they might not know about. And usually people are more open to an educational session, a virtual educational program that we're running through Zoom one-on-one for chief marketing officers, for VPs of sales on new ways SDRs are using to book up to 30% more meetings. And I was just calling because I thought you'd be interested potentially in something like that too.
I mean, sure, I'll buy outreach.
Well, I mean, that's the idea though, but just giving you the idea. The idea is the offer is an educational session.
For sure.
So what are you into? Like sports wise, what are you into? Like,
personally for me, yeah, definitely. I'm into soccer, hardcore, playing, watching European soccer. Yep.
You play soccer?
I do.
Are you like on like a team or anything?
I am.
Okay. So here, what position do you play?
I play striker, so I score the goals.
So, hey, Mohammed, I don't know if this is something that you'd be interested in, but we are offering some online educational sessions. They're about 20 minutes to show you specific things and skills strikers are learning that are improving their game vastly. Some practice and drill techniques that they have never thought of before that are really having practical implications when it gets in the game time to really level them up. I'm calling you because I thought you'd be potentially interested too, given that you're a striker.
I would probably say, sure, I'll listen.
Probably maybe asking questions like, what do you mean? But you're probably not going to, right. What do you mean? So you kind of open up the conversation. Thought you might be interested in that. Am I wrong there? Are you interested? Does that sound, generally speaking, does that sound interesting?
No, I would say it wasn't something that was on my mind, but now that you mentioned it to me, I'd be curious to learn more.
Right. And so rather than this pitch, Mohammed, my name is Josh. I'm a soccer trainer, and I want you to get on a demo so we can show you our soccer stuff. Yeah. That sounds like I'm selling soccer stuff, and one sounds like I'm educating you on some new ideas that your peers are using, other strikers are using off the field to get better on the field. And then I deliver on that promise. I'm not going into a demo. That's the key thing with outbound. You don't want to go into a demo because generally speaking on outbound, there's exceptions, but generally speaking, people are at the beginning of the buyer journey. And so if we're going in with a pitch, that's when people are at the end. Correct. At the beginning, I want to learn stuff. I might not even know what's possible. Like I have a great client up the street. This is a great example. And if I were to cold call that client and say, hey, we help you, with booking meetings. We don't have a problem booking meetings. We're booking meetings already. When I go in and observe the client, what I see is that they're booking meetings this way. They're sending an email through Outlook. They're creating a task in Salesforce to follow up in 3 days. When those 3 days come, they're going to their sent box. They're forwarding that email and appending it with email number 2. Then they're creating another touch. It's all manual. So they don't even know what's possible with a tool like Outreach. So in order for you to be able to get someone to do something better, we have to understand what's the gap. What are they doing now that might not be better? And education is a great way for that because I didn't even know that was possible. I didn't know we had a problem because we've been doing it this way for 15 years. But you showed me something about being a striker, that drill. I never thought of that before. I didn't know that was even a thing. And oh my God, that's making me quicker, faster, more agile. I'm beating other strikers on the field just because of this drill. I didn't even know about it. Thank you. It would be like if someone cold called me and said, Josh, I noticed that you are signed up for an Ironman race in November. And typically when people do Ironman races in their training, their saddle can hurt them when they're biking. And we've got an interesting session on how you could reduce pain associated with biking for 60, 70 miles. Are you experiencing that pain, or are you like a unique unicorn? No, I am experiencing the pain. And then so I'm educating them on what causes the pain when you ride a long time on the bike. Oh my God, that's so interesting. Maybe it's seat position. Maybe I'm not seated right on the saddle. Maybe it is the saddle, but maybe it's the handlebars. Maybe it's the pedals. Maybe my crank length instead of being 175. I'm learning all these things. Yes, I'm selling a saddle, but I'm not there to sell the saddle. I'm there to educate you on all the things that it could be. And if it is a saddle, and we've ruled all these things out, yes, we do sell saddles, and here's why our saddles are different, because unlike your traditional saddle, that's only one size, ours expand for your sit bones. Because everyone's sit bones are a little bit different, and so you can actually adjust it to make it the perfect fit if in fact it's a saddle problem. And since you don't know, we'll ship it to you. You could try it for 30 days, and if it makes a difference, great. You can keep it, and if not, you can ship it back. Is that something you'd be open to trying?
I would say yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not here. It's the idea here is that you really genuinely have to find a way to make people happier, and sometimes you can, and sometimes you don't. But you have to know that going in. So my question to you, Mohammed, is this: what do you do? What does your company do? If I ask you, we're at a networking event. What do you do?
Gotcha. Okay. I know how to answer that. I just caught off guard. So we help make your life easier on a day-to-day basis and eliminate paper processes at your company.
Okay, that is. I'm going to give you a rating on that.
That's pretty bad, I know.
Okay, it's pretty bad. And I'll tell you why is it pretty bad.
Because it wasn't delivered with enthusiasm, and it wasn't prepared, and it didn't really. It wasn't as general enough, I think, as possible.
Well, general is really bad.
Oh, so it wasn't specific enough. I mean,
well, when we're telling people what we do doesn't matter unless it matters to the prospect. Let me tell you what I mean by that. If I'm selling a bike saddle, it could be the greatest bike saddle in the world, and I can start telling you about it just like you did. It's the best bike saddle because of all these reasons, and that's what we sell. It's the fastest bike saddle. But guess what? I don't bike. So it doesn't matter. So when someone asks us what we do, the first words out of our mouth have to be a question back to understand if someone's a biker and if they bike long distances and if they're having pain biking long distances, because then we can help them once we've identified a problem.
Gotcha.
So when I ask you what you do, I want you to say to me, hey, Josh, just so I can tell you what we do in a more relevant way, let me ask you a question. Are you processing paper in a manual way or whatever problem is that you solve? So let's actually try it again.
Gotcha.
Hey, Mohammed, what do you do?
Well, let me ask you this, Josh. Before I can really explain that to you, let me ask you, are you processing paper in a manual way at your job?
What do you mean processing paper in a manual way?
When you have documents that have to get signed by customers or other vendors, are you sending it to them via mail or by printing and scanning?
And end of role play. Very, very good. Okay. Why is that good? Because now we're starting to get at what's the before. I'm assuming, and I know DocuSign pretty well, that you make that manual process. Now, what's the problem with the manual process? Why is that bad?
For a variety of reasons. One is it's slow, it's error prone. Someone could forget to put something in there, forget to sign a document. There's no way to track where it is, right? If you mailed it to them, even if you emailed it, you don't know, hey, are they signing it now? Have they really looked at it? Have they opened the email?
So that's going to be your next question. So I'm going to say, yeah, I'm doing it manually. Hey, have you ever experienced these problems, A, B, and C?
Okay.
So let's try it from the beginning again.
Sure.
We're going to say, what do you do? You're going to ask me the question, and then you're going to say, hey, it looks like manual. Hey, let me ask you, have you ever had this issue? And action. So Mohammed, what do you do?
Well, let me ask you a question so I can better answer that. For your current position, do you ever send out paperwork to clients for them to sign if they're not in front of you?
Yeah, we do.
Okay. Have you ever experienced a situation or a time when you sent them a document and you weren't sure, if they had received it, had they opened it, did they have any problems signing it?
Yes. And now once we have that, now what we do is we have what's called a linking statement. And the linking statement is this. I hear that all the time.
I hear that all the time.
Then we're going to go into the next part, which is we're going to now do the pitch, but only through the eyes of a customer, not DocuSign. So let me explain what.
Can I interrupt you? A customer who has DocuSign, or their customer signing with
a customer that has solved this problem.
Okay, gotcha.
So if I tell you I'm the best sales trainer, you're not going to believe me because I'm biased.
Right.
Of course you're saying that. But if I say, I've been working with another salesperson, and after working with me, they were able to close 20% more deals in about 30 days. His name was John. He was typically closing about 10%. How many deals are you closing? So notice what I just did there. I'm reframing it, and I'm telling a story in terms of how I help, but in the context of other customers, because other customers are better salespeople than you are. So here's how, from the beginning, it's that linking phrase. I hear that all the time. There's a company we just worked with that was also processing papers manually. The company's name was X. I was actually working with a marketing director like yourself over there. Her name was Linda, and she was processing manual paperwork all the time. Things were getting lost in the shuffle, and we helped her completely eliminate all that stuff. And after we did, nothing was getting lost in the shuffle anymore. It was just better all around, more calm, and contracts were actually getting processed much faster in a smoother way. Based on that, would you like to learn more about how we do that, how we helped her? And then we kind of go for the S. So putting it all together, let me ask you a question. Then the problem. Then have you ever had this? Then I hear that all the time. And then this is how we've helped a third party. Would you like to learn more? So let's actually try from the beginning. So what do you do?
Let's do it. Well, let me ask you a question so I can better answer that for you. So at your current position as the marketing officer, have you ever sent documents to people via mail or email right now?
Yeah, I have.
Okay. Have you ever experienced a time where you sent that document to somebody and you weren't sure whether they had received it or not, if they're currently in the process of signing?
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure if they got it or not. Yeah, that has happened.
Yeah, actually I hear that all the time. Actually, just last week I was helping company XXX who was experiencing the same issue to help solve that.
So what we have to find is what's the benefit. So if I'm going back and forth with contracts,
right,
and I don't know if it's been signed, why does that matter?
Because okay, gotcha. So if you don't know whether the contract has been signed or not, you don't know when you're going to have the money, in your pocket, in the company's pocket, when the project's going to be complete, right? Different factors, obviously.
Okay, so it would be something like, what she's able to do is know exactly when the contract was signed immediately, so they were able to actually get paid. Would you like to learn more about how they did that?
Gotcha. Mm-hmm.
Let's try from the beginning.
Okay.
So what do you do?
So before I answer that, let me ask you, have you ever sent a document to one of your customers to get it signed by mail or by email?
Yeah, we do that all the time.
Okay. Have you ever experienced a time where you weren't able to track where that document was in the signing process?
Yeah, we're not exactly sure because we don't exactly have visibility into that.
Yeah, I hear that all the time, actually. Actually, just a few days ago, I was helping, Sharon from your competitor across the street to help her figure out a way to track where the document is in real time all the time, meaning that she was able to know and project exactly when she was going to get that contract signed and get paid.
Would you like to learn more?
Would you like to learn more about how we did that with her?
Yeah, you got the idea. That is 10 times better. You have to smooth it out, obviously.
For sure.
That's 10 times better than how we started 8 minutes ago.
For sure.
And the reason it's better is why?
I'll tell you why. Because in the beginning, this way doesn't assume that she has the same issue that every person in the world has. Yeah, it's going after the problem versus what you offer. Because every person's problem is different. And if you assume that they have an issue, even if it's a great problem, it's not gonna, they don't resonate with it at all.
Right. And if you solve multiple problems, when you say, hey, have you ever A, B, or C?
Yeah, have you ever?
Does any of those resonate? She might say, well, not A and not B, but C.
Yeah.
And now you know that it's just C. There's no reason for you to talk about A and B and how you help in those two areas because it's not relevant to this person that you're speaking with.
Gotcha.
That's exactly it.
It's simple. I mean, it seems so simple looking at it like, wow, like, isn't that obvious? But it's not as easy. I mean, most people don't do this, right?
Nobody does it. And so I just went to a networking event not too long ago. I asked 10 people what they did, and I didn't understand what anyone did. I didn't even just like when I asked you, I didn't really, I mean, I happen to know DocuSign, but when you told me what you did, I didn't understand it at all. Okay. And think about the impact of that. I'm at a networking event. I'm in a position to buy stuff and refer things as a sales consultant. And I'm walking around the vendor booths and I'm asking vendors what they do. And I don't know what they do. Therefore, I'm not in a position to help sell their products. But the amount of business that is lost because the moment of truth, when a vendor sets up a booth and pays all that information and they're not able to have this conversation that we just had, imagine the amount of leads and money that's lost because you can't explain what you do in a way that gets people to actually care and be motivated to want to learn more. Because that's the purpose of telling what you do. It's not for you to tell you what, it's not to give your 30-second elevator pitch. The purpose of telling you what you do is to get people to care so that they are motivated to want to learn more because we are in business to make money. Not to give elevator pitches and not to bore people with our product speak. Let's find people that have a problem that we could potentially help them with and have a conversation in a way that gets them curious. Like how is Betty over at Acme doing that?
That makes sense. That's perfect. I appreciate that. That definitely helped me a lot, even though like I knew exactly, like if I would look at that on a piece of paper beforehand, like, well, obviously that's how you should do it. But But I guess I wasn't doing it before, so thank you so much for.
Yeah. I'll give you one more tip.
Sure.
This one will also blow your mind. You've never done the job of the people you're selling to. Correct?
Correct, yes.
So you're selling to a marketing director, you're selling to a CFO, you're selling to anybody. You've never done their job. And so although we're talking about this language and you're saying, never manually sign some stuff, I'm taking that at face value. But most all of the time, because you've never done their job, you don't know how they speak and you don't know their lingo. You're rattling off some marketing stuff that someone's told you about how your product helps. And oftentimes that's a disconnect between what you're saying and how the people actually talk about the problem internally. And because there's a disconnect, the language might not resonate as much because you're speaking a slightly different language. You're speaking in marketing and they're not. They're speaking in marketing director and it's different. So you have to get closer to their language, and the only way to do that is two ways. Not asking your marketing department, not asking people internally, but actually talk to some customers that recently bought. And ask them this. So you guys bought 30 days ago. What was going on at your company that caused you to look at solutions like DocuSign? Like you guys were doing everything just fine. And then something changed. Like when did you first have the first thought that something wasn't working anymore? How long ago was that? 3 months? What was going on 3 months ago that caused you to start looking for stuff? Like no one wakes up one day and says, I want DocuSign. What's the story? I don't wake up one day and buy an $8,000 triathlon bike. You don't wake up one day and just buy a $4,000 anything or a big TV. Something happens along the way that you want that story in their words, and you want to take those words and you want to put those words in a Google Doc, their specific words.
Yeah.
Because that, my friend, is the key to spinning up conversations with strangers. Like I was just talking to a VP of sales, and the way he described the problem in his words, we're getting obliterated on the phones. Our salespeople are getting obliterated. We're getting crushed. Like that language is very different than we help you increase your meeting book rates. And so if you look at the basecamp.com website where I used to work, they do one of the best jobs I've ever seen of using the customer's words on their website, because your customers will teach you how to sell. They'll give you the words. You can't make them up. You can't make up the words. I would have never thought that word obliterate. That would never even come to my mind. But if I approached him with that word, oh my God, that's the word I use to describe my problem every day. It's like you're joining the conversation in my mind, as famous copywriter Robert Collier said. So get closer, interview customers. Second way is to just shadow. Take a customer out to lunch and watch them do stuff, and you'll see things, and you'll get closer to the customer. Biggest problem SDRs have is they've never done the job of the person that they're selling to. They don't have the confidence. They've been given language, but they don't really know the job. Like what exactly are they doing that's causing the struggle? Definitely. So those are another couple tips for you, is to get closer to the customer, not the marketing language.
I like that. I appreciate that. That's great. That's awesome.
All right, my man. And hopefully this was helpful, buddy.
Yeah, it definitely was. Moving forward, so what would you say? I'm going to use that for sure. Moving forward, to increase my knowledge further and continue with the growth of, starting in a closing role, AE, where I still will do some hunting and talking to customers. What do you think the best way to continue knowledge? I notice you have some resources on your website. Will those programs be suitable to me specifically?
No, I wouldn't buy. So I do sell something called the Badass B2B Growth Guide, which is wildly popular. But you don't really need this stuff right now, dude. What I would recommend for you is not to buy anything.
Oh.
I would recommend only one thing for you. Mm-hmm. Actually, I'll recommend two things.
Okay.
I want you to find the top performing account executive in your company. When I say top performing, I mean this. Who's making the most money?
Yeah.
Find out who that person is. There's somebody that's the best. Mm-hmm. And I want you to hang out with him or her. And I want you to copy everything they're doing. Everything. Steal everything.
Yeah.
And then make it your own eventually. But initially, I want you to just copy everything. Their process, the questions they're asking, their follow-up, everything they're doing. I want you to just copy it. That's thing number one. Okay. So you don't need me for that. You don't need any books. Just hang out with the best person and see if they'll take you under their wing. And they probably will. They're halfway decent people. And the second thing I want you to do is what we just talked about. I want you to talk to 2 or 3 customers. And I want you to, if you can, shadow. And I want you to get closer to the customer's struggles and problems and how you've helped people be happier. Just do those two things, man. Do them really well and go deep into those two areas and forget everything else. One of the problems people have is they're buying too much shit. Buying courses, buying books, buying this, buying that, and it's overload. If you got a top performer in your organization, which you guys are DocuSign, you do.
Definitely.
Go, who is it? Do you know who it is?
Yeah.
Go hang out with him or her.
Okay.
Call them up today, take them to lunch, say, dude, I want to be the best like you, and will you mentor me? And I just want to watch you work. I just want to sit my ass next to you in my chair, and I want to watch your whole process.
Okay.
I want to watch everything. I mean, I trained someone a while back ago when I worked at a previous company. He's like, I'm an SDR, having really trouble. I'm like, well, there's a top performing SDR right over there. This person, go sit next to her and just copy everything she does. Like literally. And did, and guess what? Got better.
No doubt.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
I mean, back in the old days, if you wanted to become a blacksmith, you didn't read a book on how to become a blacksmith. You were a blacksmith's apprentice.
Correct.
So become an apprentice.
Okay.
I know it sounds simple, but sometimes the best things in life are simple, like investing in the stock market a little bit every day in the 401k plan. It's boring, but by the time you get to be my age, you're a millionaire.
Yeah.
A little bit at a time, dude. When you look at it every month, nothing. So
I believe you. I have tried it in different factors, like whether it was soccer or becoming a barber. I didn't go to barber school. I had 3 guys who were 60 years old. I just watched them cut hair and I became like them. So I know it's correct. I know, 100% hands down, I know what you're saying is correct.
I love that story, dude.
Yeah.
You want to learn how to cut hair, you watch some master 60-year-old barbers, dude, and you learn how to cut hair, dude.
Yeah, I did. Exactly. So I just got to do the same thing with someone here who's basically on that level. Right?
Find your master barber at DocuSign.
That's what I'm going to do. Hey, man, I really appreciate your time. It means a lot. Let me know how I can help. By the way, did you record this? Can I watch this later?
I'll send this to you. The only way that you can help me, if you're so inclined and know it's a bit of a hassle, but if you go on LinkedIn and say, hey, just spoke to Josh. It was great. This is what I learned. And you tag me, that helps me tremendously if you're so inclined.
I am more than inclined to do so.
I'll send you the recording right now.
Hey, really appreciate it, man. 100%. And I'll let you know how it goes. We'll stay in touch. Where do you live, by the way?
I'm in Boca Raton, Florida, where your grandparents probably live.
Haha. Nice try, but they're in Jordan.
Have a good one, boss.
Awesome. Take care, Josh.
Take care.